collaborative. This webinar today is a part of our collaborative efforts to support our physician colleagues as we all face the brunt of this pandemic. I'm honored to be here today. Every day, millions of us as physicians stand vigil helplessly over the heartbreaking decline with diseases, with COVID, of our loved ones, of our patients, of our colleagues. We lose hope in small and big ways, many times a day, many times a week, and countless times over the years. We have all gathered here today to talk about hope. Holding on to hope has never seemed so difficult as it has been in the pandemic over the last 15 plus months. Unless you have been lying unconscious under a rock, you have felt the gut-wrenching, drowning, sinking feeling of hopelessness and helplessness many times over the last year. We have been lonely, we have been sad, we have missed celebrations, we have missed dinners, big and small, happy hours with friends, weddings, graduations. We have even missed celebrating and honoring the passing of our loved ones. This pandemic has touched every aspect of our lives, and we have been left reeling with it. We wonder if we will ever get back to the way we were. I would like to start with observing a moment of silence for all the physicians who we have lost over the last year. Thinking about them, thinking about their families, and giving thanks for their service. 400 physicians commit suicide every year in the United States alone. This is double the rate of the general population. Women physicians attempt suicide at rates that are about 250% more than the general population. Suicide was the leading cause of death among medical residents in the United States in a study done from 2000 to 2014. I have shared some links. There are some typos, sorry. They're in the chat. These physicians who commit suicide are without hope. They have lost hope. In Hindi, the word for hope is asha. It means promise, and expectation, and optimism. And I saw an asha here today. In Hebrew, the word hope means expectation, even a rope, something to hold on to, something to hang on to. My goal today is for everyone to figure out for themselves what hope means to them, what it looks like, what it feels like, and what will it look like in their life when they are hopeful, when they have successfully created hope. Hope, as it is used in the English language, is used in two ways. It's used as a noun. I am holding on to hope. That's a noun. It's like an object. And then I am hopeful, which is a verb. Like I am being hopeful, an action that we are doing something. When we don't know where we are going, we can have a real sense of unease and dissatisfaction in life. It's like going on a road trip and not knowing where we are going. We may even get there, but we don't know we are there. So my hope is that today we all become very, very clear within ourselves what it means to have hope and what it means to be hopeful. We all may have different understandings of it. So, with this, I invite everyone to take a minute and think about a time in their life when they were hopeful, a true high point in their life. Things were going well, a new job, the birth of a baby, a promotion. Taking a moment to think about this, a true high point in your life. As we do that, I would like to invite Dr. Ravi to share with us one time in his life when he was really hopeful, describing for us the events, and then I will ask him some questions. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for volunteering.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. I can answer that question. I gave it a little bit of a thought, but not too much thought. I want to be too spontaneous. And at a personal level, there are moments of hope and expectation and excitement. And then at a global level, I felt hopeful at certain times. The freshest memory I have of the hopefulness I felt was the last November, first Tuesday. That was a moment of liberation to me because I haven't been to any liberation movements in my life. And I felt so oppressed for the past 6 years prior to that. I had lost hope in humanity almost that we have come to this state of affairs. I know this is a little bit of political, but this is my true feeling. That's why I'm sharing. I know it's kind of, it'll be received in a wrong way by some people, but being honest is very important, being hopeful. So that was a moment of hope. That was because when my daughter, who was just graduated from medical school, was devastated because that's her first time she voted, and without a good results for her in her mind, and she was so devastated. And what am I going to look forward to in this world? And she was ready to leave the country, but I said, it's we will always come back stronger and better, and this is a temporary blip in our history. And but before that, I felt we are post bias, post racial society, but it kind of proven wrong. We have regressed so much. We have to start all over again. But there's a little bit of a political part of it. But let me go from political and global to personal. Probably the highest moment of hopefulness I felt was when I started my medical school, because that was a defining moment for me, who I am, what I'm going to be, what my rest of my life to be. So I don't think, of course, I had married, I have had children, I had successes, I had accomplishment, I had acknowledgement and acceptance by friends and society and professionally and personally. Yeah, go ahead, Divya.
Going back to that moment when you entered medical school, what were you thinking?
So my thinking was actually my thinking was a relief for my family in a sense, even though it was my personal accomplishment. There was no pressure on me to be a physician because I'm the youngest of the five brothers, and we already had two physicians. So it was not like I'm the one who is going to kind of set the path. So I'm just following the path. But the fact that I did it and made my parents so proud, as well as my family, entire family.
So
So that was, yeah.
coming back to yourself, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were your actions? What were your interactions with others? Just bringing it back completely to yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of such a remote memory, but my feeling was you're like you're in a cloud nine. You're on a feeling like you can accomplish anything in the world. You feel like you're invincible,
Pin that.
and
Yep, you can accomplish anything in the world. That's what you were
right.
thinking. What were you feeling?
Feeling excited, feeling confident, feeling open to possibilities. It was
Yeah,
an amazing feeling, but it kind of so long back. I joined school in 75, so
you're
that was
doing very
45 years.
well. You're doing very well.
So that was a long time back. But yeah,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
memories are still fresh. And the
yeah.
minute I saw my name on that board was an exciting moment.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's my memories and my feelings about my sense of hopefulness personally and recently as well.
And how were you interacting with others?
Um, it was, I was a little bit of a probably a shy person at that time. So I was more of an observer than a participant in a lot of things in my life. So probably I was excited by their excitement and their joyfulness. And I'm always a friendly guy. That's not a problem. But um, forming new friendships and yeah, I was what 18, 19 when you start medical school in India. You're really not fully formed as a person. There's a sense of excitement. There's a sense of innocence. There's a sense of uh, kind of bonding with friends and making new friends, starting all fresh.
So, some of the words I heard is excited, open to possibilities, hopeful. So, what I'm hearing is a sense of lightness, a sense of joy, a sense of expansiveness, having the energy to move forward, feeling good about ourselves, feeling good about everything around us. We want to be around people, people want to be around us, and we feel brave, we feel courageous, and we are able to see and act on the opportunities and solutions that are around us. This is the state of being hopeful. Keeping this in mind, bringing it back to your own experience and your own example, and taking a moment to really reliving that moment, thinking, feeling, acting, interacting from that moment of hope.
So is that a question, Divya?
I think it's just giving a moment for
Moving. Okay.
everybody, giving
Okay.
a moment for everybody to go into their own experience,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
the one
Okay. And
experience
so
of
yeah, sorry to interrupt you on that
no
flow.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. So being in their own moment of hope, feeling it, going back to that moment. So taking that time, feeling that hope within you, it's very important. Like I said, we have to know where we are going to go somewhere. If we don't take the time to know what it means, we read messages, we tell each other, we say, have hope, hold on to hope, I am hoping, I am hopeful. But we are not crystal clear about where we're going. And when we don't know where we're going, even if we get there, we won't know that we are there. And even if we get there, we will not have the sense of accomplishment. And when we don't know where we are going, we have a sense of dissatisfaction and an unease. So that's why very important for everybody to know for themselves what hope looks like for them. Now, keeping this in mind, I'm going to invite all of us to move to a time in our lives when we were completely hopeless, helpless, dejected. Nothing seemed to be going right, no will to carry on. And Dr. Kohli, thank you so much. I'm going to request you to share with us again one such moment in your life.
Yeah. I don't know whether I have ever felt so desperately hopeless. And being, I guess, a psychiatrist, I immunized myself from entering that state of mind. Like again, I said, from a perspective of a global person, the last 4 years back, or 5 years back, when that happened, when the election happened, that was a sense of total bewilderment. everything that you believed in, what's right and wrong, are proven to be upside down. So that was a sense of bewilderment and sense of sadness that have we come this far only to go that back again? And are we ever going to see, even now, I mean, seeing some level of uh, level of support that that mindset, that attitudes have, the racism, the bias, the prejudice, the hate, the fear, still there. I mean, still actually, I have seen it more coming out now than ever.
Bringing it back to yourself,
Hmm.
a moment of hopelessness, loss of a loved one, a parent, spouse, child. And I invite all of us to think about a moment when we are truly, I mean, we can be hopeless about a global situation, but talking about it in terms of how it affects you, maybe fearing for your children.
Yeah, I mean, personally, so like I said, I never felt hopeless. Even my father died. I mean, I had a kind of a spiritual outlook to life. I mean, this is all temporary, right? Life is not permanent. Nothing is permanent, and death is does not mean the end of the world and end of life, end of our existence. For me, death never cast a shade of sadness. It kind of it's a journey, a transition, and sometimes end of pain and suffering. So I do not see death as the end of the hope. And the moments I felt somewhat helpless more than hopeless was when your good efforts and your good actions come to naught and you fail and you blamed for some things you're not done. For example, there were like a malpractice lawsuit. One of my inmate patient committed suicide, and I had to hold the. I was held kind of to the standard that are unmeetable. That I was supposed to provide like a 24/7 care for an inmate whom I have no control of his environment. That was an angry mood, an angry feeling I had. You're holding me like a scapegoating me. The whole system is at fault. And of course, the patient was also responsible. He did not reveal himself to the extent that he could have when I offered help. A month later, he committed suicide. So how that I'm responsible for it? But I kind of probably was trying to immune myself from responsibility also. But there was a sense of anger, helplessness, more than hopelessness, and frustration with the system that doesn't give you the resources but expects you to be a kind of divine intervention. So there is a sense of feeling I had at that moment.
So you brought up some really excellent points, which is I'm going to just go into that. I have been creating a webinar for physicians on trust, communication strategies, and how do we appear trustworthy. So these are really excellent points for that. How we are held to impossible standards and expected to meet them, and how do we still come across as being trustworthy, and what are our responsibilities. So I'm going to just say that I think it was very pertinent to point out your experience and what you shared. Uh, as far as hopelessness is concerned, um, I think you described beautifully moments, many moments when there is a helplessness, when there is a hopelessness, when we don't know how we're going to move forward. Um, there is a sense of confusion. We cannot think straight sometimes. We sometimes are not effective in life if we stay in that for too long.
Yeah, Divya, if I want to, actually, I forgot to mention one more moment. See, there was a sense of hopelessness I had. Most profound feeling of hopelessness I had was when I came to this country in '83. There was a struggle for me to get into residency. That was probably the darkest 2, 3 years of my life. And I kind of really went into my shell. I lost kind of direction. I had a great family support. My brother was here, he's a physician. His family was so supportive, his wife and his children. So, but since I want to be on my own, even though I have no pressure to find my own, that moment of complete lack of hope, complete shutdown, all the walls closing in, all the doors shut down on your face, was really devastating. That was probably, those scars are still in my mind and my psyche that kind of prevent me from being more adventurous, more outgoing, more kind of grandiose sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That is what I was looking for. The moments that live with us and in us for the rest of our life. So everybody digging deep, like Dr. Ravi did for us. Thank you. Thank you for providing that opportunity for us to discuss, Dr. Ravi. So for us to dig in and to come up with these true moments of hopelessness, we don't have the will to go on, confusion, sadness, just wanting to get away, not connecting to people, not having self confidence. Noting what you were thinking, what you were doing, how you were interacting with people, how you were feeling in these moments. Everybody taking a moment. When I think of a time when I was hopeless, I think that most one of the points in my life that remains with me was when my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I was hopeless and helpless, could not think straight. There was a constant sinking feeling in my stomach. My knees felt like they would buckle under me. I needed to sit down. I was walking around, seeing patients, doing rounds, but oddly disconnected from my surroundings. And now I invite everyone to very quickly go back to that hopeful moment. Dr. Kohli, getting into medical school. All of us bringing your moments online, getting into medical school, feeling, thinking, acting, excited, open, interacting with the world, confident. How does it feel to just go right back, Dr. Ravi?
Yeah, I mean, if we can bottle that feeling and keep it with us and have a little bit of a sip of that every day, we'll have a great day and great moments and great life and great accomplishments. But life has a way of teaching us both the moments of
Okay.
reality as well as hope.
Now, 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 from this moment of hope, going into that moment where you couldn't get into residency for 2, 3 years, going in there and feeling that fully, the confusion, the sadness, the lack of wanting to connect, the lack of open heartedness, and staying there. How does that feel?
Yeah. Um, Looking back, I mean, it seemed like it could have been an opportunity for actually more growth and openness, but I think I was too young to have that possibilities at that
Yeah.
time. I was what, 23. Um, and we were, I think, immature at that time in our lives compared to 22, 23-year-old in American society versus Indian born and raised kids. So, but plus I was not the most entrepreneurial, enterprising person in my
So,
life at that
so
point. Yeah.
staying with your experience, what you said is coming back from the hopeful to the hopeless. In the hopeless, you are reflecting that maybe that was an opportunity for growth and maybe an opportunity for openness.
Yeah.
If you could have stayed with that feeling, the optimism of getting into medical school. So this is what I'm inviting each and every one of us to do, is to take a deep breath, take this moment of hope, high point of your life, and the moment of hopelessness, the low point of your life. Make this an exercise. Do it for 5 minutes a day for a week. Go back and forth. You will develop a new perspective on both these situations. You will be able to see things and know things about yourself that you may not, that may be outside of your awareness right now or before you started doing this. This is a very simple way for us to keep perspective, to stay in perspective, is to not get lost in these emotions. So, what happens in the hopeless feeling is we are in a limbic system loop. We are in these are emotionally charged. We are having big feelings, sadness, grief, sorrow, hopelessness, helplessness, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, just everything comes at us. Accompanying this is a set of catastrophic thoughts, catastrophic thinking. Everything is going to be bad, as the worst possible outcome we imagine, and we go through and we go through and we go through. We're exhausted and can't seem to get out. So, if we can develop within us the capacity to go back and forth, we are utilizing a very basic fundamental principle of the brain and how it works. The neurons that fire together, wire together. So, neurons that fire together, wire together. So, when we are with feelings of hopelessness, what are the neurons around that? Sadness, grief, sorrow, rejection, confusion, lack of being able to see opportunities. And then we just get pulled into that. If we can stay present to the things that are hopeful or the times in our life that have been hopeful, if we can hang on to hope and actually make a practice out of it, do it actively for 5 minutes a day this week. What will happen is when you are in that loop of hopelessness, you are going to have neurons right there supporting the hope. You're actually changing your brain by simple exercises like this. You are wiring these neurons together. And this allows you to stay aware, to be in perspective. So, Dr. Ravi, how does that sound? What I'd just love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually last year has been even though it has been a devastating year for last lot of many people, I discovered post-traumatic growth in the last year. And my perspective is probably this is the best year in my life because I've become a better person. The post-traumatic growth has 5 elements, right? One is greater appreciation of life, deeper relationships, and awareness of your own strengths and possibilities and spiritualities. All those 5 elements I touched this year. I became much more aware of my own strengths and aware of the new possibilities, a better relationship with my loved ones, and greater appreciation of life. Every moment of life I'm enjoying, and spirituality, not religiosity, but spirituality. The difference between religiosity and spirituality, religiosity is like a frog in a like a fish bowl, like a fish in a fish bowl. What it sees is it sees. That's all what it sees. But like a spirituality is like a fish in the ocean. There's so much there, and there's no end to it, and you're connected with the entire universe. So that kind of spirituality is what post-traumatic growth brings. So those are the, like I said, I feel almost unbelievably much more uh, together and confident in my own abilities as well as possibilities. Having gone through what we have been through last year, of course, there's sadness of losing friends and sadness of not celebrating, and but unless you are go through some hardships, adversity, it doesn't build you up. It's not like adversity builds your character, but it reveals your character. And that's what I found myself to be. And I think
Would
I'm
you repeat
healthier.
that? Would you repeat that? Adversity doesn't?
Adversity, people say adversity builds your character, but more than building your character, reveals your character to yourself, what you can do, what you are capable of, how you can come through. So
Amazing.
that's what I feel. So post-traumatic growth has done to me as a person. I think it's possible for all of us. All of you are possible. Look at this trauma, this hardship as a stepping stone, not a stumbling block, not an obstacle, but an opportunity. You will really rise to a greater sense of yourself. And that's
Um,
how I feel.
amazing. Amazing. You've said everything I wanted to say.
Sorry for
No,
stealing your
thank you.
time.
No, 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 no. It's not stealing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mean,
Amazing.
yeah.
No,
Because
not at all.
My good friend asked me on the question, post-traumatic growth. I kind of cued
Amazing.
me
Yeah.
into,
So this is, yeah,
cued me into talk about, because I was thinking about post-traumatic growth.
yeah.
There is another word in Norwegian apparently called sisu that also signifies your growth in yourself, your strength, belief in your strength. And that was apparently World War II time. They had the attitude of self-reliance, self-confident. Nothing will ever stop me. Every obstacle is an opportunity to show who I am, what I'm capable of. So this is an obstacle whole world for us to come together and grow together and reach higher heights. I think we
Yes.
can do it. Yeah,
And this is what we have done. This is what we
right.
have done. We have
Exactly. Yeah,
reached deep inside ourselves. We have shown up as leaders. We have
right.
developed capacities in ourselves and found capacities in ourselves that we did not know existed. And this
That's
is
true.
where
Yeah, that's true of me, and I can guarantee that's true of OPI
true
itself.
of me.
All of us, and even OPI as an institution has
Yes,
been
yes.
called a sleeping giant. It has
Amazing.
been
Yeah,
awoken, and it
yeah,
has realized its potential and its God-given opportunities
yeah.
to be an institution to be all be proud of and to be belong to.
Yes, yes. So, in closing this part, before we move on to questions, what I suggest, what has been very helpful for me, is to make a list. It's a four-part list. The first thing is make a list of 5 things that you are hopeful about in the world. The second thing is make a list of 5 things that need work in the world. The third thing, make a list of 5 things that are really going well for you personally. And the fourth thing is make a list of the things in your personal life that need work. Keep this list handy, update it frequently, read it frequently.
So Divya, you want to go over again one more time? What are
Yes,
those?
yes, yes.
So our audience will be able to note down. Okay.
Four-part list. One, make a list of 5 things in the world that are going really well, that makes you hopeful. Second, make a list of 5 things in the world that are not going well, that make you hopeless or feel hopeless, that need to be changed. Third, a list of 5 things personally for you that are going really well, that make you hopeful. And fourth, a list of 5 things in your personal life that need change or even make you hopeless. Places where you might feel stuck that you want to work on.
I think Manoj is putting that on the chat box also for people who want to actually take a screenshot and keep it to themselves. Manoj, thank you for doing that. And also on the chat box, while we are doing this, please post your questions, and we can begin the question and answer session, because this is a rare opportunity of having such a great professional person who actually does this specifically as deals with this kind of problems, giving us actually a session for us. So if you have any questions, and if you don't want to type it for everyone, you can put that personally to me, and I will not mention the name. If you want to keep your name, if you don't want anyone to know who it is, you can text me personal in the chat box itself. Just text me, and I will ask that question without mentioning the name.
If you also want to raise a question personally, if you raise your hand, I will unmute you also. We can do that.
You can do that too, yeah.
I'd like to just take a minute to finish here. Thank you, Dr. Amit. Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Thank you, Dr. Anu. So keep this list handy, look at it often, update it often, and be effective in your life. Dream big, be hopeful, understand your brain, understand how your brain works, stay in perspective. And don't believe for 1 minute that I have this all figured out. It's hard, it's a struggle, and we all struggle with it. We lose perspective, we come back. It's like the zoom on our camera. When we are up in the emotional loop, we are zoomed in all the way with our face against the tree trunk, and we can't see anything else. It's very helpful to look at this list, to zoom back, to come all the way back and see the entire forest. Life is made up of moments of zooming in and zooming out, zooming in and zooming out. If we can make that as a practice, we can really go a very long way in being hopeful and making our dreams come true.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me, Amit.
Yes.
This is Gopal.
Yes, sir.
And I'm a recovering COVID patient. I'm a long hauler for the last 7 months. I'm still at home, not working. But I'm going through all these mixed feelings. I'm trying to do whatever I can do or need to do. And at the same time, I'm not hopeless, but at the same time, I'm trying to build up my strength, mentally I'm generally strong, but I'm going through all these mixed feelings. What else I need to do additionally to strengthen myself, to build up strength, in a way, it seems very hopeless being a recovering COVID patient for the last 7 months,
Right. Great question, Gopalji. And Dr. Divya, you go ahead and give your perspective on that good question, personal question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gopal, for sharing. And I'm really sorry with everything that you are going through for the last several months. So this is where today we touched upon mental health. This is where I have worked on myself, experimented with physical health, mental health, emotional health. What I can suggest, and I'm going to share my Facebook group.
We can hear you, Divya, for some reason.
Muted myself, that's why. So this is where this is what I understood is we have to work with our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health, spiritual health, and energetic health. We have to work on all of these because we know of the gym buff, that got stage 4 cancer, and we are scratching our heads and saying, how did this happen? Or we know of some really truly elevated spiritual person who again got diagnosed with a terrible illness. So this is where we have to move forward. We have to move forward all parts of our body. Today we concentrated on mental health a little bit, because as physicians we intellectualize, we rationalize. We have to first get through our minds. Getting back to your question, Dr. Gopal, one of the best ways that I have found and discovered in myself to regain health is to start with breath work. And if I'm going to ask everybody to share their emails or go to my website, I will be happy to connect with you to share with you some very basic, simple things about breathing. I'm going to say them quickly now, and if anyone wants to hear more, let me know. So one of the biggest ways, the biggest service we can do to our bodies is to do two simple breathing techniques. One is breath holding. Breath holding just goes like this. Do this 10 times a day, every hour, every 2 hours. There is some echo. So if everybody could mute themselves, that would be great. So what breath holding does is it is just simply brings our vagus nerve and our parasympathetic system online. So when we hold our breath, our heart rate goes down, breathing gets settled, and we move out of fear and fight and flight. That's one of the basic things our body needs to recover from anything. So breath holding as many times a day as you can. Hold your breath, monitor your pulse rate. If it is below 50, then kind of see where you're at, below 45. But most people can hold their breath very, very effectively. That's the first thing. The second thing is to prolong your expiration. You don't need to breathe in deeply, just prolong expiration. And I'm going to do that. Do you guys want to try with me?
Yes.
So what we are doing here, again, we are bringing the parasympathetic system online. What happens when we are stressed, when we are in fear, is we breathe shallow, we breathe fast. This is one of the most effective ways, as effective as meditation, to bring our parasympathetic online, parasympathetic system online. This is what we do in meditation, actually. I experienced that in myself a few years ago. This was one of the main benefits, is it allowed my parasympathetic system to come online. At that time, I didn't understand. But today, many years later, this is what I understand. Yes, mindfulness, Dr. Brahma. That's exactly what it is. So mindfulness is with the mind. And then if we bring breathing, we are bringing our body. And our breathing is the one that connects all our bodies. So two things, even if we can do this. So I'm not, pranayam and other things are very, very effective. And there we do the long in-breath, long out-breath. So the long in-breath is energizing. What I am suggesting here to get out of stress is to prolong only the out-breath. That is what we need to do to come into balance. We are already an overload of breathing in deeply, shallow, fast. So we are reversing that.
Yeah. To Gopal Reddy garu, namaste andi. Thank you for asking that very personal question. Like Divya was mentioning, what I found last year was, again, by accident, we were introduced to Art of Living. I'm not proposing anything or promoting anything. Any meditative practices, breathing practices will be helpful. And belly breathing, you can call it square breathing or pranayama or Sudarshan Kriya. That is very energizing as well as relaxing. The deep breathing in kind of energizes you. The deep breathing out kind of relaxes you.
Relaxes.
So, and be in touch with nature. Go for walks the best you can. Even a few minutes of nature brings you that kind of sense of wholeness. And also, social connections is so important. I know you feel isolated, and social isolation is very, very toxic, both for mental health and physical health. That has been proven. And the reason is not that this is psychological, it's biological. It's a DNA engraved. As a primitive, primitive creatures, human beings, infants are the most vulnerable babies. Any other animal survives very quickly, very fast, within no time. But a human baby requires a lot of nurturing, a lot of caring. So it needs a social system in place for it to survive. So that is engraved in our DNA. When that is disrupted, you feel very kind of pain. Physical pain and emotional pain are exactly the same. The social connection will bring you back into more
Thank you, Dr. Ravi.
sense of who you want to be.
Thank you,
That's
Dr.
why.
Ravi. So, yeah, those are absolutely beautiful points. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of methods of messages of support for Dr. Gopal. So, if we could just send him messages of support in the chat, and Dr. Gopal, please read them. And I wish you all the best. And do connect, and I can share more with you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go for the questions. We just have another about 7 minutes. I don't know whether we can go ahead, go beyond this, and I'm sure if you guys want, we can go beyond the hour. But please post your questions. Again, I've got a question here, and I'm not going to purposely mention names so that it just makes it easier. What somebody has asked is, how do you deal with constant being put down by your own people who are negative, who want to criticize you for everything? I mean, you're doing your best, you are giving it 100%, but there are some people, and I on the top of my head know several, and we all can give this knowing smile, who actually, even if you're doing your best and stuff like that, they criticize. Especially we see that amongst fellow Indians. So this gives us a sense of frustration, sense of, like, hey, you're doing your best and here's a guy constantly criticizing you. How do you deal with this?
Okay, try being a woman.
Try being a wife.
Try being, trying being a professional woman. I'm going to, these are some very deep questions, and I'm going to share deeply at that level. So this is what happens. When we are criticized, when we are out there trying to do anything in the world, there are going to be people who are going to criticize us. There are going to be people who will agree with us and who will not agree with us. These are two sides of the same coin. What I was doing throughout this talk was bringing forward for you two sides of the same coin: hopefulness and hopelessness. They are two sides of the same coin. So if we have to hold on to our ability to have hope, we have to develop the muscle to be hopeless too. Because whenever we are 100% hopeful, we are just simply not aware of the things we are hopeless about. They are two sides of the same coin. Now, getting back to this really touchy subject, what are the two sides of appreciation? When we are admired, the backside is what? Comparison, hatred, jealousy, trying to pull down. So if we are willing to put ourselves out there, these are the two sides of the same coin that we are going to face. I'm reading a question. How about forgiving, ignoring if someone continues to criticize? I get that. I get that. Sometimes it doesn't work. It hurts. It hurts. So I'm going to go ahead, Dr. Amin.
No, I was just saying that, and this is on the same topic, corollary question maybe, that two things. I mean, I'm sure everybody will realize that. I have noticed people who are criticized, people who are absolutely criticized when they were growing up as a kids, they turned out to be the person who do these kind of things. That's one. And the second thing which I'm thinking is that most of the families in India, most parents are not appreciative. So they have got one extreme part of the pendulum swing where they even if the guy gets almost first class, first unia, you know. But on the other hand, the extreme end of the pendulum is in America. When you come over here, the guy fails. Oh, give him a prize. At least he tried. So we are.
Okay. We are going to be sitting here for 10 hours now. So you guys are just bringing up all this. This is being human, all aspects of being human. Going back to the appreciation and the other side of the coin. Somebody asked a question. So how do we deal with it? How we deal with it is by being in our center, by understanding that if we are going to put ourselves out there, this is going to happen. And we as physicians, it's not just as human beings and leaders, as physicians, we are put on a pedestal. So when we allow ourselves, when we accept that role of being on the pedestal, this is the other side. And that's where we feel attacked. We feel betrayed. And this is where the paternalistic system of medicine, where we tell the patient, we know what's best for you. That's where the other side is being sued, because we feel that they feel that we have let them down. So how do we deal with that is by bringing ourselves back to ourselves, to our center, knowing what we are going to be doing. Dr. Amit, I'm going to want you to monitor because I cannot do both.
Yes, I'm doing it. Don't worry. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
knowing that when we put ourselves out there, we are going to face this. So if we are in our right perspective, right intention, right thought process, we are actually doing something which is from our spirit, from our soul. We are bringing forward our work. And I believe each of us, especially as physicians, we have our own specific medicine that we are bringing out into the world. If we can connect with that, we can move forward in a way by being able to understand things for what they are, whether we ignore them, whether we have compassion for somebody, because what is really happening, I'm going to get personal here. So as I come on, as I'm talking, there may be people, as I put myself out there, who are going to say, um, they're going to compare themselves unfavorably with me, to say, oh, she's got it all together and she's this and that. And then the admiration and the other side, whether we acknowledge it or not, is there. So what just happened is someone projected something onto me. They projected their own inner gold, actually, their own capacities, their own abilities to do things in the world onto me. Because when we are seeing something in someone and admiring something in someone, that exists inside us. We cannot see in the outside world what doesn't exist inside us. I'm going to stop here. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Amit, I just have two words of kind of my personal feeling. I mean,
Yes.
imitation is the best form of flattery, right? say in the same way, criticism is also a best acknowledgement of your success. People who criticize you are envious of your success. That's why they're focusing on it. The second thing is, like Gita said, don't expect anything, good or bad. Just do your duty without any expectation.
That
Then
is
there's
the
no pain. Yeah, there's no
I'm going
pain
to
and there's
differ
no
here.
joy.
I'm going to differ here.
You're fine. You can.
Spirituality tells us, or we interpret it like, I mean, why shouldn't I feel hurt? I'm
Yeah,
not
you
a
can.
robot.
You know.
Why shouldn't I feel hurt? Why shouldn't I feel bad? But what I'm inviting all of us to do is to also bring that in perspective. I don't.
Right. Every time you succeed, you take ownership of that. So we enjoy that moment. We don't question that. But every time you fail or every time you get criticized, we take like a deep dive into that and then dwell in it. That's where we need to put that perspective. All this adulation as well as criticism is in somebody else's mind. We don't have to go there with them.
No, that's a very good point, raised, Ravi, because that is one way you can get above it. That points which you raised. One is that you get criticized. Somebody criticizes means that he is achieved something which he has not. So move ahead with that. The other one which
We
is
have a couple of people who raised hands. Let me bring them in.
I'm going.
Pramod,
I'm
go
going.
ahead. Yeah,
So
go ahead and finish your thought.
we have Pramod Kala and Pramod Kala. Could you Ravi, could you unmute Pramod?
I think you
I'm
partly.
noticing we are going over. Is everybody okay?
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, go ahead. There's no limit to it.
I
There's no
think,
end time. There's only beginning time. There's no end time to it.
we are fine with it. Whoever wants to stay can stay. It will extend for another half an hour. We are enjoying the discussion. These are all basic things what we
We
see.
didn't put an end time to the discussion today for a
If
reason.
anyone wants to leave, that's fine. There's no pressure. But if you feel like that you want to stay, you can stay. So no pressure for anyone. Thank you.
Pramodji, go ahead and ask your point. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, of course, we face this all the time, unfair criticism. I think Ravi partly answered that question. I think when you succeed, you enjoy the glory and the glow and everything. And when you fail and you take a really deep dive and you feel sad and want sympathy from everybody. And I think I was thinking, as professionals, is there an effective way of dealing with it? I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Give that person an answer. If they're feeling jealous,
I do.
putting you down. Sometimes, I think the lies fly and the truth comes limping after it. Because, people, it happens in board meetings and things like that. They put you down. You don't have an effective repartee at that time, right? But damage is already done.
Right.
Okay. So this is what
you didn't reply, and you feel like the others, majority feel that there's something wrong with you, even if you clarify it much later, right? Sometimes it happens in person. The guy who accused you comes and apologizes to you in person, but the other 10 haven't seen it. You know what I mean? It's
So
not
this
publicized.
is-
Like apology is in a little corner, but the accusation is in headlines.
I understand your question.
Ongoing basis, like you have some defense mechanism to deal with it, when things like that happen.
We
So
have
this
two other
is-
hands raised. You go ahead and please.
Let me try to answer this.
Yeah, please.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. So why don't you have a response at that time? And I struggle with this all the time. It takes me 2 days to come up with an effective response. And then I'm mad at myself because I didn't think of the right response. All of us experience this. But going back to the moment, why were you not able to come up with a response? Because somebody's attack put you into your limbic system. You got lost in that moment in your limbic system, and your neocortex was not on point. So doing these simple practices of toggling between knowing where you are, whether you're in your limbic system, whether you are in your neocortex, how to move in between these things, how to hold yourself in these positions, you will find that you can stay present, you can take the attack, you can feel your feelings, and you can respond.
So you can be more ready, I mean,
You can be aware if you are aware. So what happened in that moment when you were attacked? What happened is that you went into your limbic system. Somebody's writing amygdala hijack. That's exactly right. You were hijacked by the limbic system, and your neocortex went offline.
right.
You were not thinking straight. So by doing these practices,
But sometimes these are surprise attacks, right? You're not.
yeah. So yeah, how do animals survive in the jungle? They are
Right.
ready. They are ready. These are the exercises. This is what mindfulness, this is what being with our emotions teaches us, is to be present in the moment, is to know in the moment what is the right thing to say. Now, if we were not being the one who was attacked and someone else was attacked, observing yourself, imagining yourself to be in that moment where someone else was being attacked, your friend, wrongfully so, you would come up with responses, right? In that moment, you may not say them, but you will know. You'll know what is the right thing to say, right?
Great.
Why is that? Why is that? Because you are not being attacked. You were not pushed over into your limbic system. Your friend was, they went offline. But if it happens to you, this is what happens. When it happens to someone else, we are able to see. We may not like it, we may not participate in it if it's our friend, but
Train
we
my
know.
limbic system to respond quickly.
Train, notice yourself during your day multiple times where you are acting from. Are you acting from your limbic system? Are you acting from your neocortex? The authentic way is to be integrated where we are aware of our emotions and we are acting truly from there. What we do as physicians is we shut out our emotions. We just rationalize and intellectualize and look around and give reasons, and we go live from our
I think
neocortex,
I
which
need
is
a one-on-one
fine.
session with you.
Thank you. There are a few other
Pramod,
questions.
Pramodji, if I, one second. Pramodji, if I may, there's a thing called emotional intelligence. Study on it, how to read your own emotions and read other people's emotions and respond to them, not react to them. And that can take practice, but it is doable. Be your best friend, be your best advocate.
You have
And
some kind of where you can read that?
yeah, Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence. I will send you some links on it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Dr. Dimani, can you tell in simple English what is limbic system, how to go to new cortex rather than this language?
I will try. I will try. So when we are, somebody saying removed emotions, I don't agree with that. So, and I'll explain why. So we have 4 parts in our brain. Right now, we are talking about 2 parts.
Yes.
One part is the one that deals with our emotions. Emotions mean sad, angry, happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the emotions. The, the, the second part that we are talking about today is the part that is logical, works with reason,
New cortex. Mm-hmm.
neocortex.
Right.
So what happens? You see a brawl. I mean, I was, as I was preparing for this, I was seeing things online about brawls in the Russian parliament, how people fight. So what are people doing when they are fighting? When they are writing angry messages on WhatsApp, they are in their
Limbic system. Oh.
limbic system.
Emotions. Mm-hmm.
They are acting from their emotions.
Yes.
So we have to develop the capacity to know what we are feeling, allow our feelings to inform us, but interact always from the neocortex. So we don't attack other people or traumatize other people.
Yeah, indirectly you need to control your emotions and then act from logic.
I would again stay away from the word control, because like Dr. Amit was saying, as children, and that's just where the world is today, that is how parenting is done. I have parented like that. That's where we are. We want to avoid our emotions. We want to put them
No,
aside.
it's not a control or avoid, but managing your emotions is
Managing.
important. Just like you
Or
manage your bank account. You just don't spend all your money, right? You don't spend all your emotions. You save them and you use them for the best investment. So use your emotions, name your emotions, name it to tame it. If you know what your emotions are, you can read other people's emotions, then you can interact. So if you don't even know what your emotion, why you're reacting the way you're reacting to something trivial. For example, something is out of place. You react in such an emotion. Why? Stop and think, where is this emotion coming from? Is this coming from this situation? Is it coming from a whole baggage of things that happen? So separate your emotions to the situation to see the connection there. And if there's no match there, for example, road rage, somebody cuts you off, you have this feeling of you want to kill them. There's no sense in it. So make sense of your emotion, name it to tame it, and read the situation and take a deep breath and pause and then react with the intellect.
Thank
so
you so much.
Can I join in?
We've got
was that did that answer your question?
Uh, Divya, can I join in?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
We,
it
we,
answers.
we
Divya,
can't see
I
you.
am,
We don't know your name.
so
It's
yeah,
okay. It
I am,
answers my.
Thank you.
yeah, there are, I know this is going to, this is so fascinating, Divyaji, that this is going to go forever. And
Don't
obviously,
see me, please.
but there are three more hands coming up, which I would address. Just before going there, one question I have done for the last 2-3 years, and I've learned myself. So if I feel enraged and I want to write a email back, I write the email to get my frustration off, but put it in the draft. And believe it or not, I've in 2 years, next day or the following day, I don't even have to. 90% of the time, I don't even have to send that email, and the thing goes away. So I think I advise people to do that. If you feel frustrated, write it down, but don't send it. Make sure you don't click the go button. Next is
Thank you, Dr. Amit, Dr. Ravi. Beautiful, beautiful points. Thank you.
yeah. So I have one person who raised his hand, but he doesn't have a name there. It says Photo G
yeah,
Pao.
I am Dr. Sanjay Kaushik from India.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey,
I'm Divya's batchmate.
He's my batchmate. Thank you, Sanjay.
Divya, I take you back to the final year exams. It seems we didn't learn much from there. We had 108 vivas, which was queued in, and we used to go to every viva and come back frustrated. Am I right? They used to tell us that you didn't study well, you don't know anything. You should come back after 3 months, okay, and come again when you have studied. Same thing. What was our reaction at that time? The reaction was, let it finish off, let it go away. What, am I right? Now, when we did our post-graduation, same again. You didn't study for 3 years. Your thesis was wrong, but we are passing you. Am I right? So from day one, we have been told that this thing is going to happen, but we didn't learn. Now, once we started practicing, the patient also said, "Sir, things are not going on well. I don't know. Should I talk to another one?" So
tell
again,
me, what is the question? I understand the frustration,
I was talking.
hopelessness.
The question was basically, you were talking about how to face a emotion, how to face a situation where you are criticized. Am I right?
So,
And I was coming to last point of that.
tell
When
me.
I joined my government service, I never got a review of outstanding. I always got a very good. So I asked my reviewer that, why are you not giving me outstanding? Every day you tell you do work like anything well. You're working day on day out. Things are going on well, but I'm not giving you outstanding. Then I said, why? Because the answer was cryptic. I never got an outstanding report. So if I have not never in my life I got outstanding, how can I give it to you?
Okay, let me.
Question is called as in Hindi. Um,
Are you going to use an abusive word?
No. It's not abusive. It's called sthit pragya. That you remain slimy in all situations. But
So
accepting that won't help. It won't help because I will do the same to my juniors.
I will be angry.
I will be angry.
Angry. I get
So what? I have already put in about 30 years of service, but I made it a point that I will give one outstanding to one every year.
So tell me your question. Tell me your question.
The question is basically that we should. It's not a question, but basically what I feel is
observation.
That taking the anguish out. Somebody says, "Yeah, you're a dumb guy, and you don't work." Okay, and then on the back of says, "Yeah, in the heat of the moment, I said it." Okay, so you should be ready for that to happen with you. So try to remain in all situations. Try to be in a balanced mood, and on the back of the mind that this guy is talking rubbish. So that will help.
So great, yeah, great point. Absolutely great point. You're reflecting most of the things we have discussed here today. So this is where how we put it into practice is by not giving, I want to use a bad word here, moving it forward, by not moving it forward.
Yes.
That's where we are. That's where
And
that is where we can make an impact as human beings. There is a lot in the world that is wrong. There is a lot. So just like we understand, see, the supervisor said, I am not going to give it to you because I am angry. I was not treated right. So we take the responsibility on ourselves to treat ourselves right, like Dr. Ravi said, to become our own best friend, to become our own greatest champion, not to be unrealistic. Be in perspective, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know who you are. That is the basic message of all self growth, understanding, spirituality, is to know yourself and don't pass it on. Don't give it forward.
That is the
Sanjay, just to reiterate, there are two things that you're dealing with here. Two cultures. One is a medical culture that's always asking you to do more and more, right? We are like drinking from a fire hose to knowledge-wise. So there's always never ending to it. And then the Indian culture, which is not very complementary. We don't complement each other. So you're dealing with two cultures, but I'm glad you're changing your culture by giving outstanding for people who deserve it. So change of culture is very important. That's what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next question, we have Joshri Subramaniam. Could you unmute her, please? Joshri?
I will do that.
Joshri, are you still there?
1 second. Let me unmute her. Okay, she should be unmuted now.
Thank you, Amit. A very interesting topic, and thank you for having such a great conversation. My question is, moving forward, like, see, you interact with patients, with residents, with fellows, with other family members. What comes to mind? And sometimes, you kind of are caught, like, how am I going to react to this? You hear someone cough or someone sneeze or someone mention that they came from India or they came from a crowd. And immediately, even though you try to reassure people, you are still like, have you exposed them to COVID? Have you done something that was not correct? So there is this fear factor that is there in the back of our minds, even though we try to tell people that, yes, we are vaccinated. So do you have any suggestions, ma'am, or any guidance as to how we can tackle those questions moving forward? Thank you.
You're muted, Divya.
Miss Joyshri, please don't call me ma'am, Divya. So tell me your question. Your question is how to deal with the fear of having spread
And
COVID, or
how, and not only the fear of spreading COVID, now, you know, everybody has been indoors and in their own cocoon, and we are trying to get out. My question is, how do we answer or put those fears to rest, not only in our mind, but with our family or other members that we interact with who are not medicos? See, for instance, now there was this variant stories that were floating around.
let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. So you are tell me if I'm wrong. You are asking for, you are at a loss of words of how to convey information, or are you trying to deal with people's fears? What is the
Yes,
question?
yes. The question is trying to deal with people's fears and what would be the right way to, right choice of words to allay those fears.
Okay, so one of the things I hear, which is very crucial for you to understand, is you are somehow taking responsibility for others. You are taking responsibility for their emotional state or their fears. What I would do is would just give them the information that is out there, and then whatever they want to do as their um, as adults in their lives. See, we have to be very careful, and this is very new. It's new to me as well. We have to be very careful to understand when we are being put up on a pedestal. So the minute you are put up on a pedestal, now you are responsible. Like Dr. Ravi was sharing in the lawsuit. The minute you are put up on a pedestal, now you're responsible for everything that's wrong with the world. So, what is your responsibility here? Your responsibility is to share the information just like you are dealing with it yourself. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So there was another question. Somebody had raised their hand, but I think he left. I don't see him anymore. So if there's anybody,
Amit,
Amit,
can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Ravi.
Amit, Sunil asked, Dr. Sunil Kaz, a cardiologist from Tennessee, asked, resilience, is it inborn or is it situational, nature versus nurture? Do you want to answer, Divya, or you want me to shed some light?
Both. We learn from our parents. We do get some, just like we inherit their nose and we inherit their eyes, we inherit their mental makeup, their emotions, their thinking. We inherit a lot from them. And then we learn a lot in our childhood from observing people around us. So I would say both. I would say it is nature as well as nurture.
Yeah, Sunil, to echo, there are some studies that are said to be about 23 to 30% maybe nature. So it's not 100%. So the resilience is not something everybody has from all the time. This is a process. Resilience requires your values, your clarification of your values, and your alignment of your behaviors to your values. And then all these self-care practices like breathing, exercise, sleeping, and social connections, eating healthy. So resilience can be developed, can be trained. It's not something beyond your capacity to gain.
Yep, I agree completely. I agree.
And also optimism is the same thing. Optimism is also, some people are kind of blessed to born with such an optimistic attitude, but that's not a final product. It's a work in progress. You can be optimistic by training. Learned optimism is a real thing. Just like learned helplessness leads to depression, learned optimism leads to positive psychology. Positive psychology doesn't mean that everything will be great. Positive psychology is being prepared to deal with the problems and gathering your resources, gathering your social connections to deal with the problem. So that's what positive psychology and optimism is about. There's a
Yeah, Ravi.
misunderstanding that it is just a Pollyannic thinking, that everything like a fantasy thinking. That's not optimism. That is
Right.
just
Yeah,
a
Ravi.
foolishness. Yeah. Yeah.
Ravi,
Go
this
ahead,
is
Sunil.
Gopal again.
Yeah.
I used to be an eternal optimist, but as I get older, understand the world better, my
Right.
optimism is not the same. I'm kind of become a pessimistic in a sense, also when I understand the world in reality.
Yeah.
I would like
Actually,
somebody to comment on it.
yeah, I will comment if you don't mind. Gopalji, actually, pessimists are more correct in their assessment. Optimists are mostly wrong, but still better to be optimist. The reason
Yeah.
is it will prepare you better. If you're pessimist and give up, you will never be able to. The Wayne Gretzky said, all the shots you don't take, you never score a goal. Even if you score 100, shoot 100 times, you might get one time. So that is the positivity of the optimism. It gives you the courage to take the chances, and you will succeed one day. But yeah, optimists are mostly wrong, but they still have better results at the end than a pessimist, because they will never take a chance. So don't give up your optimism. Be realistic though. Be realistically optimistic.
I would disagree. I would disagree when we are putting one thing above the other, optimism or pessimism. What we are trying to develop is to have the right perspective in optimism and the right perspective in pessimism. We are trying to be in balance.
So the point here
I'll
is
tell you one thing, Gopal.
Yeah.
Amit, let me see. Optimism is defined by three things. Optimists don't see things as a permanent problem. They see everything as a temporary problem, and they don't personalize. They don't take it as their failure. It is the circumstances that fail them, and then they don't think it's a pervasive. It's always going to be like this. It's always never going to happen. So these are the permanent attitude, personalized attitude, or pervasive attitude, are very negative permanent view of world, negative personalization, negative pervasiveness is what leads to pessimism. The positive attitude about things are temporary, things are not pervasive, it's not my fault. These are the positive thoughts that leads to more optimistic attitude. That's the differentiation between
Okay, I
optimism
can
and
agree
pessimism.
with that wholeheartedly.
yeah. I mean,
That's
for
amazing.
just so we're going to have to conclude because it's almost it's at 11:30. However, there are questions, and if you can directly text Divya, and she can answer those questions for you. I would, before I ask Divya to just summarize today's talk, just take home points for 3 or 4 points, and then we'll close. And I thank you for that. I mean, optimism and pessimism is what I have known is seeing a glass half full or half empty. So I always look at the glass half full, always. And so, and my wife kind of is the person who brings me down to earth. So that's how a yin and yang relationship goes. So,
for me, a glass is like an 8-ounce glass. There are 4
Okay,
ounces
now
of water.
you guys, I'm going to let Dr. Anu say something.
So I
He
just
has to say.
I was enjoying, it's nice.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
And very interactive.
Oh, you don't need to be
All
sorry.
enjoying it, but time is also very important. Divya, please give us some take-home points. What exactly, why were we here today, and what did we learn? Any 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and then what else you want us to be like. So, just in a nutshell, like if you can just give us your conclusion words, and I think we'll go and do our rest of our day with that optimism again. Okay, thanks.
So what I would say is that we be aware of our emotions and our thought processes. We observe whether something is making us hopeless or it is making us hopeful, sticking with the subject of hope, and then noticing where we are not in the right perspective, where we are so zoomed in that our eyes are literally smashed into the bark of the tree, and where we can pull back, see the whole forest and all the trees and see the right perspective. If we just do that thing throughout our day, and maybe at the end of the day, to actively sit down and think of a really hopeful situation and a really hopeless situation and go back and forth. Go back and forth. Literally pull yourself. It's maybe uncomfortable. What you are doing is you are
Sorry,
creating, no problem. You are creating that wiring in your brain. So every time you go into a hopeless situation, you are going to have wiring neurons right around which are also telling you, hey, we're hopeful about these things too. So you don't get dragged down. You are actually changing your physiology by this simple exercise. I want to take a minute to really thank so many names, so many friends I see here. Karuna, Anita, Anu, Harpreet, so many people, and I think maybe some may have left. I'm sorry. This is Academy Awards. I'm not, if I don't name someone, I'm trying really fast. I saw some names. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of personal questions. What I would like is go to the website, send an email about what you would like to hear, what you would like to talk about next. I have two webinars on communication strategies. One is one of the big causes of burnout for physicians is the interactions with patients when they have to deliver bad news. So the first webinar is on that. The second webinar is on trust. And the other side of trust is violence. Physicians experience a lot of violence and blame. So then how do we engender trust? How do we stay in that and not put ourselves out there and avoid attack? So those are the two things that I have been working on. So let me know what questions. That's where we're.
You can put your personal email in this chat box. I think our group can take the
On
email.
the website,
Right. So if you can just write
I
down that.
have, the website has an email. Let me put that in.
And
I-
thank
So,
yeah. Go ahead, Ravi.
I think we covered a lot of topics. I mean, very interactive. I feel we discharge our obligations of helping connect with each other and having a good discussion. And this is a time for self-care, self-reflection, self-awareness, and moving forward. And I think Divya brought it all together very well.
Thank you, with your
Thank-
help.
And I appreciate Manoj for introducing us to Divya and getting this wonderful session. I enjoyed it. I really did. It was like a group session, and I thank you so much, and appreciate everyone for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you. What I'm also going to do on my Facebook page is I'm going to share some information on vaccines. It's a 5-minute video. This was made by my brother, who's an investment banker in Bombay. I was having a talk with him just last month, and it's really hopeful news about vaccination. So I'm going to share that on my Facebook page. And I'd really love Dr. Manoj Mittal to come and just say hello to us. Thank you so much, Manoj, for he really got me out of my seat. I was not going to get started.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Divya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to close the
Yeah.
program. Thank you again.
This is
Thank you for everybody. Bye.
And